Hello everyone, this is Kim from Kim's Creations. You can find me everywhere across the interwebs. Today I thought I would share my process in making these beautiful mandalas that I've been quite enjoying. They are not all that difficult to make, but it did take me a while to figure it out, and I couldn't find any tutorials online, so I'm sure there are some, but I just couldn't seem to find one. So to give you an idea of what I'm going to do, this is one that I recently did, and I call it a swirly Zendala, but I'm sure that's not the technical name for it. I also did one in some blues and greens, which is pretty. So today I'm going to use some blues and greens and pinks and purples. Let's see how that turns out. So to start with, here are the tools that you will need, or the tools that I use, I guess. You don't necessarily need the ones that I use, but I thought I would show you how I do it. So I have a compass, a clear ruler, a pencil, a white pen for fixing mistakes, and your colored pens. Now these ones are Sakura Jelly Roll pens, and these three are by Staedtler Triplus Fine Liners. Now this little device here is awesome. It's by Helix, and it's a I'm not sure what exactly it's called, a circle drawing measuring tool, and I'll put the link down below for this particular one. Now you can use a protractor, but this just makes life so much easier. So the way I always start my mandalas is with the circle. So now this particular paper, all you need is just some smooth drawing paper, but this is a little bit thicker. It's a Bristol type paper. If you're planning on hanging your masterpieces on the wall, you probably want to use a pretty good quality paper. So what you want to do to start with is find the center of your paper. So this particular piece is 11 by probably 14. So I'm just going to take the center here and just make a little tiny X, so that if you lose your spot, you can find it again. And find the spot that will allow you to make the largest circle possible, what I do anyway, and begin drawing. Now I don't measure the distance between my circles. I just basically eyeball it about this far. So that if you lose your spot, you can find it again. And find the spot that will allow you to make the largest circle possible, what I do anyway, and begin drawing. Now I don't measure the distance between my circles. I just basically eyeball it about this far. Now I like to, as I get closer to the center, I like to make my distance between my circles just a little bit smaller. And that's probably a good place to finish. Next, you want to take out your little drawing tool, and this is so awesome. The way it works is the center rotates, and it also has some different size smaller circles that you can use as templates, which I do use frequently. So what you can do is take your pencil and draw some lines within these little tracks here. So you start, this is the center, so you put this on your little X that you drew. I'm starting at 0, and I'm going to draw lines within the tracks every 10 degrees. Make sure you don't lose your spot. It's easy to have your little device move around a little bit on you. Not a huge deal if it does, it'll still work out fine. I would recommend using a pencil that's easy to erase, and use a fairly light touch, again, because you want to be able to erase it fairly easily. And that's it. Now the next step is to take your ruler and join the lines all the way across your mandala, like so. And we're done. Alright, so the next step is to draw in your sort of your template, I guess, to give you don't even know how to say this, how to explain this. This is very difficult. So as you can see here, this design is kind of it gives a sort of swirl effect, because you use your colors to delineate the lines to make your swirls. So I think I'm going to try and zoom in here so that you can see what I'm doing a little bit better. Now the first line, or the first one is the most important one, because you use that one to sort of follow with the rest of the colors. So I'm going to start with a nice dark color so you can see it really well. I'll start with this blue. So I should mention that there are, for this particular design anyway, with there being 10 degrees between each section, there ends up being 36 sections. But each little area uses 2 of them, so you end up with 18 sections, if that makes any sense. So I choose 6 colors so that you want something that's divisible by into 18. So 6 obviously works really well. I use 3 pinks and 3 blues and greens for this particular design. I'm really not explaining this very well, but it will make more sense once I start going with the drawing. So to start with, I'm going to take my darkest blue and draw a little sort of a flower petal shaped thing in the center here. Probably get in a little closer even. Whoop, yeah. So you start here and end up in the center, and like so. And then you want to follow the circle in a swirl kind of shape, like so. So start your pen here, and I'm going to use this shape here, like, whoops, like so. And then you want to continue in a swirl. So I start at the tip of this little shape here and make another one exactly the same across 2 squares. And again. Alrighty, so now that I have the first one drawn in, it makes it so much easier to follow that one. I'm going to use green as my next color. And then what I do here is basically just skip one and then start at the tip of the little shape here and make another little flower petal, and then continue like so. And repeat. To take a little break and I'll be back. So I like to erase the pencil lines at this point, but you can wait until the end if you wish. Sometimes it's a good idea to wait because you can use them as a guideline for your doodles, but sometimes the eraser dulls the colors, or sometimes it'll even smear the colors, so that's why I don't like to take any risks. So you can get your inspiration for ideas for the doodle designs in a number of different places. I generally use sort of Zentangle inspired doodles, but there's also all kinds of ideas on Pinterest. I can link my Pinterest board below if you want to get some ideas from my pins. But sometimes the simplest of doodles look the best, so it doesn't always have to be a complicated design. Alright. So I've been adding my doodle designs in a couple of different ways. This is one of the ways. In this example, what I did is I used the same doodle from the center outwards. So you can see it's one way to do it. And in this example, I used the same doodle and did it in a circular way. So the colors are the same from the inside out, but the doodles are different in each section, but the same in each section going around, if that makes sense. So I think for this one, what I'll do is use this idea because I just like it a little bit better. So I'll probably just speed this up, but I may think of some tips here and there, so let's see how things go. So at this point, I'm starting to sort of look at the overall design and make some decisions to try and make it look cohesive. So what I like to do is to kind of repeat some of the elements that I've already used. So I try and use each element, or not each element, but some elements twice at least within the overall mandala. So for example, the scalloped edge that I've done around the entire mandala, I'm going to use that again in the next section. So what I thought I would do is do something like this. And then do some little scallops here. Kind of looks like an exclamation mark. And a comma. So you can see that I made a mistake there, but that one's pretty easy to fix. I'll just take the white pen and blot it out. I'm finding this is an odd angle for my hand to work at. When I'm doing this off video, I just keep moving the page around so that it's at a good angle for my hand and wrist. So that's another little tip. There we go. You'd never know what happened. So we're looking good, and I thought for the next section here I would do another one of my favorite little tangles. Kind of looks like a leaf. Okay, so what I generally do is I don't try and make each leaf exactly the same, but I try and copy sort of the dominant elements, I guess, of the leaf. So I've got two thicker lines on each side, so that's sort of the like I said, the dominant element, but it doesn't have to be exactly the same. So as long as, so what I'll do is I'll look at this, and I've got one line here. This pen is just, it's running out of ink, I think. And then a thicker one. And then a couple of lines. And a thicker one. And a couple more singles. that's kind of the idea. You can see they're not all exactly the same, but they're close enough that they look the same. Now another option would be to just do it like these. I find these almost a little more challenging because you gotta try and keep the spacing between them close but not too close, and make them all look sort of similar. So either way works, as you can see. So this one, or this way. So we're down to the last row, and what I like to do is take a look at the overall design and decide if it needs something, if I want to repeat another element, or if I want to add something new. So I think what I'd like to do is repeat this element here, just because I like it. So obviously it's a much smaller space, so the little dangly thing is going to be smaller, but what I'm going to do is zoom you in and I think what I'll do is, instead of going this way, instead of dangling this way, I'm going to have it dangle this way. So just put the little string in and the little bubbly thing. And then I think I'll do this. So there we go. Now I just have to repeat it 18 times. And we're finished. All that's left to do now is to just sign and date it. And I think I'll use this color.